Listen to me more deeply, my child, for what I desire you to understand does not lie on the surface of what you feel, but in the foundation upon which you stand. I am not opposed to your emotions, for I myself placed within you the capacity to feel, so that you might love, empathize, rejoice in the light, and also know sorrow when you encounter what is wounded. Yet what I am restoring within you is not the existence of emotion, but its position in your life. For when that which was created begins to lead, what was designed to govern, order is reversed, and your soul becomes unsettled without understanding why. There are days when you feel strong, and you assume you are standing firm. Then there are days when your heart feels empty, and you think you have fallen from grace. But my child, truth does not fluctuate with the waves within you. The Lord is my rock and my fortress. Psalm 18:2. The rock does not move with your feelings. The fortress does not collapse because a storm rises in your heart. What I establish is not built upon your shifting state, but upon my unchanging nature. Therefore, when you measure yourself by emotion, you are using an unstable scale to evaluate an unchanging reality. Understand this, beloved. Emotions are like messengers. They deliver a message, but they are not granted authority to decide. When you allow them to sit in the place of rule, you will find yourself carried away by what is fleeting. A moment of sorrow can cause you to doubt yourself. A moment of joy can make you believe everything is complete. But I have not called you to live by what changes. I have called you to anchor yourself in what is eternal. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:1 and 5. That light does not flicker with emotion. It leads even when your heart has not yet perceived clarity. Consider the story of Elijah, who once called down fire from heaven, overcame the prophets of Baal, and witnessed my power with unmistakable clarity. Yet shortly afterward, when he heard the threat of Jezebel, he fled into the wilderness, sat beneath a broom tree, and said that he wished to die. His emotions at that moment did not reflect the truth of his standing in me. I did not withdraw his calling because he was weary. I did not change my view of him because he felt despair. Instead, I drew near, not in the great wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19 and 11-12. Do you see? Even when your heart is in turmoil, my approach to you does not change. I am not governed by your fluctuations. I lead you out of them. Therefore, do not let dark days cause you to question my love. The sun still exists behind the thick clouds, though your eyes cannot see it. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. Hebrews. If I do not change, then my love for you does not change. If I do not change, then the purpose I have placed upon you is not canceled. Because you are having a weak day, you are not defined by your emotions. You are defined by the word I have spoken over your life. Learn to converse with your emotions, but do not let them lead you. When your heart is heavy, you may bring that sorrow to me. When your heart is uncertain, you may lay that uncertainty before me. But do not make these things the foundation upon which you decide who you are. You are not the sum of what you feel. You are the result of what I have declared about you. I have called you by your name, you are mine. Isaiah 43:1. That identity is not erased simply because there are days when you do not feel worthy. Beloved child, there is a profound freedom that emerges when you cease allowing your emotions to sit upon the throne. In that place, you are no longer carried away by unseen currents. You begin to walk with a steadiness that does not arise from circumstance, but from knowing. You pray not because you feel close to me, but because you are assured that I am there. You continue forward not because you feel strong, but because you trust that I am sustaining you. This is mature faith, not dependent on sensation, but anchored in truth. I do not love you more on the days you feel worthy, nor do I love you less on the days you feel weak. My love does not fluctuate with your condition. It flows from my nature, and my nature does not change. Therefore, stop seeking assurance in your emotions and return to my voice. Let my word become the rock beneath your feet, so that though the winds may blow and the waves may rise, you remain unshaken. Then you will discover something remarkable. When you place emotions in their rightful position, you do not lose sensitivity. Instead, you gain the freedom to feel without being bound. You can rejoice without fearing the loss of joy. You can grieve without being consumed by sorrow. You can be moved without losing direction. For in that place, you no longer live from emotion, but from the source of life itself. And that source is me, the one who does not change, the one who holds you steady, and the one who remains with you in every season of your heart. Therefore, return to the place I have established for your soul, a place not shaken by inner or outer turbulence, a place not dependent on your own strength, nor constrained by the strained efforts of human will. I have not called you to anchor yourself in striving, nor to cling to rigid forms. What I have established for you is deeper, a foundation of identity that I placed within you before you ever understood yourself. For you did not become mine after a journey of perfection. You belong to me from a beginning you have never seen. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 105. This is not a statement for comfort alone. It is a reality that defines you. There are moments when you look at yourself through the lens of your strongest days and assume that version is your truest self. Yet when you encounter your weaker days, you think you have lost something essential. But I tell you, your being is not rewritten by such fluctuations. You do not become less because you are weary, nor do you become more because you are energized. You are what I have called you, and that calling is not edited according to emotional states. The gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. Romans 11:29. Therefore, stop measuring yourself by temporary standards. When I have established you upon an eternal reality, I know there are moments when darkness does not come in an obvious form, but cloaks itself in a false light, causing confusion within you. It does not always appear as something clearly wrong. At times it comes as a reasonable thought, as an instinct that seems correct, as in an inner voice that feels familiar. But my child, not everything you feel is truth. Not everything that echoes within you comes from me. Therefore, I rise within you to draw a clear boundary. I separate what belongs to the light from what merely imitates it. I distinguish what comes from the Spirit from what is only the echo of inner disorder. Test the spirits to see whether they are from God. 1 John 4:1. This is not a warning meant to instill fear, but an empowerment given so that you may discern. Remember Samuel as a young boy in the temple. He heard a voice calling in the night and assumed it was a lie. He ran to him, attentive and willing. Yet he did not recognize that it was I who was calling. Only through guidance did he learn to discern between the familiar voice of man and my quiet yet authoritative call. And when he responded, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." 1 Samuel 3:10. The door of understanding was open, so it is with you. Not every voice within you is mine, but as you learn to pause, to listen, and to measure all things against my word, you will no longer be led by confusion. I do not give you peace as a fleeting sensation, nor as a comfort dependent on circumstance or mood. What I place within you is a peace that carries the nature of a guardian. The peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4:7. The word guard is not a vague image. It is the picture of a watchful force standing at the gate, refusing to allow what is false to enter and take authority. When you remain in me, that peace does not merely soothe you, it stands. Watch over the entrance of your mind, discerning what may enter and what must be turned away. Yet, for that peace to function, you must cease granting authority to what was never called to govern. When you allow chaos to disguise itself as intuition, it will lead you astray. When you let fear clothe itself as wisdom, it will cause you to stop where I have called you to move forward. When you allow inner instability to become your standard of truth, you will lose the steadiness I have given you. Therefore, I am restoring order within you not by removing emotion, but by placing it under the authority of my word. Learn to return to the voice that stands above every other voice. When a thought arises, do not believe it simply because it is strong. When an emotion rises, do not follow it simply because it feels clear. Bring everything into the light of my word. Take every thought captive to obey Christ. 2 Corinthians 10:5. When you do this, you do not lose sensitivity. You are refined. You do not become rigid. You become steadfast. You are not separated from emotion. You are freed from its rule. Beloved child, I am not only drawing you out of confusion, I am leading you into a new awareness. In that place, you no longer ask, "How do I feel today?" to know who I am. Instead, you stand upon what I have spoken, who you are in me, and from that foundation, everything else finds its proper place. Emotions return to being messengers, not rulers. Thoughts become instruments, not masters. And your soul finds rest, not because everything becomes easy, but because you have anchored yourself in what never changes. Remain in that place, my child, not a place without storms, but a place where the anchor has been set deep. Not a place without noise, but a place where you recognize the true voice. And in that knowing, you will walk not carried away by what is fleeting, but led by what is eternal. For I am there not only to teach you, but to keep you, to guide you, and to surround you with truth that never changes. Receive this fully, my child, for I do not desire that you grasp it only with your mind, but that you perceive it with clarity in your spirit. Not every stirring within your heart bears my mark. There are emotions that arrive with a radiant appearance, like light reflecting upon the surface of water at night, shimmering, captivating, giving the impression that you are touching something profound. Yet, if you linger there too long, you will find your mind growing weary, your focus dissolving, and your soul gradually losing the stillness required to hear my voice. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you. Is not just a verse for Jesus, it is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. I say this not to make you doubt yourself, but to teach you discernment, for not everything that makes you feel alive comes from true life. There are moments when you sense a rising wave within, powerful, compelling, full of color, and you assume it must be spiritual. But my child, there are inner movements that do not draw you closer to me, but instead pull you into a spiral that drains you. The more you pursue them, the more you lose clarity. The more you listen to them, the farther you drift from the quiet place where I am present. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. This is not an invitation to suppress emotion, but a call to return to the center, where truth is not loud, and where light does not need to display itself. I know you may have thought that the enemy would always appear in obvious darkness, easily recognized and avoided. But you must understand that some things come in the form of light, yet do not carry life within them. Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. 2 Corinthians 11:14. Therefore, do not judge the source of an emotion by its appearance alone. A strong feeling is not always a sign of truth, and a quiet state is not always the absence of me. What I seek in you is not constant stimulation, but genuine connection. Remember the account of Eve in the Garden of Eden, when she saw the forbidden fruit. It was pleasing to the eye and desirable for food. Genesis 3:6. Her perception of its appearance was not wrong. It was indeed attractive. But the error came when she allowed her feelings to guide her decision, instead of placing them under the word I had spoken. That very attraction clouded her discernment. Do you see? What is dangerous does not always come in an ugly form. At times it comes with a beauty that lowers your guard. Therefore, I am teaching you not to fear emotion, but not to be blindly led by it. The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? Jeremiah 17:29. This word is not meant to condemn you, but to illuminate a truth. If the heart is not placed under my light, it can exalt itself as the one who steers. Then you will begin to rely on feeling to determine your worth. Today you feel at peace and conclude you are on the right path. Tomorrow you feel unsettled and assume you have gone astray. But my child, truth does not shift with your inner condition. I do not rewrite my love for you each day according to your emotions. If you continue to let your heart decide everything when you are strong, when you are weak, when you are loved, when you are forgotten, you will soon find yourself exhausted. You will become like one who runs without ever reaching a destination, because you are chasing signals that constantly change. But I have not called you into such a weary journey. I have called you into rest within truth. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah. That strength does not come from how you feel, but from where you place your trust. I come not to shame you for what you have felt, but to expose what has been quietly wearing you down. There are influences that do not destroy you all at once, but slowly erode your clarity, your focus, and your peace. I draw you out of them, not because I am severe, but because I love you too deeply to leave you in that erosion. I do not take away what is good. I only separate you from what is counterfeit. Therefore, my beloved, learn to pause before you react. When an emotion rises, do not immediately agree with it. When a thought appears, do not hastily accept it as truth. Bring everything into my light. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 305. When you do this, you do not lose sensitivity. You gain clarity. You do not lose your emotions. You place them in their rightful order. Then you will begin to realize that true peace does not come from always feeling good, but from being guarded. Your mind will no longer chase every inner wave, but will become anchored. Your soul will no longer be scattered, but will become focused. And in that stillness, you will begin to hear my voice more clearly, not through noise, but through certainty. For I am always there, not needing to prove my presence through intense feelings, but remaining present through truth that never changes. Let me lead you one step deeper, my child. For what I am teaching you is not to deny what you feel, but to restore order between what signals and what is foundational. There are movements within you that function like signals. They reveal what is happening, where there is pain, where there is thirst, where there is unrest. But a signal is not a place upon which you build your house. If you make what fluctuates your foundation, you will live in a constant state of adjusting yourself to every wave. I have not called you to live that way. I have called you to stand upon what does not change. And from there, observe what does change without being carried away by it. You often confuse feeling right with living rightly. But I tell you, these are not always the same. There are days when you feel nothing remarkable, no excitement, no strong sense of closeness, yet you are still walking rightly. And there are days when your emotions surge, making you believe you are very near to me, while in truth, you are only reacting to what is within you. Therefore, I am teaching you maturity, not to live by the confirmation of feeling, but by the truth that has been established. The righteous shall live by faith. Romans 1:17, not by sensation. Look again at Peter when he stepped out of the boat. As long as his eyes were on me, he stood upon the water. What was impossible became possible. But when he turned his attention to the wind and the waves, he began to sink. The waves were not new. The wind was not sudden. What changed was his focus. So it is with you. When you look to your emotions to determine where you stand, you will be pulled under by the very things you are observing. But when your eyes are fixed on me, you can remain steady even when your heart is not yet at peace. Why did you doubt? Matthew 14:31 is not a rebuke, but an invitation to return to the center. My child, I know there are days when you long to be seen, to be understood, to be embraced with affirmation from the outside. I do not dismiss these needs, for I created you with a heart that seeks connection. But if you bring those needs to sources that are not deep enough, you will receive only temporary responses. A word of praise may warm you for a moment, but it cannot heal the fear of being forgotten. A look of approval may comfort you briefly, but it cannot build a lasting identity. For identity is not formed by what others say about you, but by what I have spoken from the beginning. You are my beloved Son. With you I am well pleased. Mark 1:11. Remember the Samaritan woman at the well. She had moved through many relationships, seeking to satisfy the deep thirst within her. Yet she remained unfulfilled until she encountered me, the source of living water, and heard these words, "Whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst." John 4:14. Do you see? The issue was not that her need was wrong, but that she sought it from the wrong source. So it is with you. What you long for is not something to be ashamed of, but if you allow your emotions to lead you in searching for fulfillment where it cannot be found, you will only grow more weary. I want you to step into a new awareness. You were loved before you ever felt it. You were called before you could prove your worth. You were held in my hands. Even on the days when your heart felt as dry as a desert, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Jeremiah 31:3. That love does not come and go with your emotions. It exists independently of what you feel. When you stand upon this truth, something within you will begin to change. The urgent demands of your emotions will gradually lose their authority. They may still appear sorrow, emptiness in the longing to be recognized, but they will no longer control you. They will become signals you bring to me, not commands. You must obey. You will begin to observe them, rather than be swept away by them. You will listen to them, without allowing them to define you. This is the freedom I am leading you into. Not freedom from emotion, but freedom from the rule of emotion. Not becoming numb, but becoming steady. You will still feel deeply, yet you will no longer lose your direction. You may still pass through days of weakness, yet you will no longer question your identity. Therefore, my beloved, learn to live from the foundation, not from the signals. Let what I have spoken over you become the place where you stand. And let your emotions become what you observe. When you do this, your life will no longer be carried away by the waves within. You will walk with a stability that does not come from everything becoming easy, but from knowing upon whom you stand, and in that knowing you will find rest, not because emotions no longer exist, but because you no longer have to chase them, not because needs disappear, but because you have found the source, not because every question vanishes, but because you have anchored yourself in the one who is the answer. And I am there always, unchanging, holding you steady in the midst of every wave. Let me now open before your eyes a picture your soul can grasp and remember. For I desire you to understand, not only with passing thoughts, but with the depth within you. Your life is not a chain of reactions to emotion, but a reality I have planted long ago, like a garden arranged with purpose, with seasons, with seeds carrying promise. Within that garden, there are things growing that your eyes have not yet seen. There are shoots quietly developing beneath the soil that your emotions cannot measure, yet you often look up at the sky within you, see clouds gathering, feel the wind rising, and assume the entire garden has changed. You confuse what passes with what endures. My child, the weather does not define the ground. A passing rain cannot rename the garden, and a gloomy day cannot erase the harvest that has already been appointed. If you allow the fluctuations within you to determine who you are, you will live in endless instability. But I did not create you to live according to a changing sky. I formed you as firm ground, as a place of depth, where roots can reach down and hold you steady through every season. He will be like a tree planted by the water. Its leaves remain green. It is not afraid in the year of drought. Jeremiah 17:8. The strength of the tree does not lie in avoiding the heat, but in the fact that its roots have reached a source the weather cannot control. Therefore, what I am doing within you is not the removal of every wind of emotion, nor making your sky constantly clear. I am doing something deeper. I am drawing your roots downward. I am anchoring you into a source of life that no storm can sever. When your roots are deep enough, you will no longer be shaken. Each time the weather shifts, you will no longer ask, "Am I okay today?" based on feeling. But you will know you stand firm because you are in me. Do not be quick to conclude that the movements within you are signs of immaturity. There are souls called into depth who will feel more, perceive more, and be touched by more than others. But sensitivity does not mean you must be led by what you feel. A tender heart is not a weak heart. I do not call you to become cold in order to avoid pain, nor to harden yourself to resist being shaken. I am leading you into clarity, a place where you can feel without being controlled, where you can be moved without losing direction. Remember Paul, who endured pressure, confusion, and circumstances that seemed impossible to withstand. Yet he declared, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair." 2 Corinthians 4:8. Do you see? He did not deny what he felt. He simply refused to let it determine his outcome. This is the inner strength I am building within you. Not a life without waves, but a life not ruled by them. There will be days when your heart is like a still lake, reflecting the sky with clarity. And there will be days when the wind rises, stirring the surface so that you can no longer see clearly. But the lake remains the lake. Whether its surface is calm or troubled, you remain, my child. Whether your heart feels light or heavy, your identity is not rewritten by a day of confusion, nor erased by a night of emptiness. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. That word does not change according to your inner state. I am not only comforting you, I am strengthening you. I am making your ground firmer, deeper, more secure. I am teaching you how to stand from within, rather than striving to control what is outside. When you understand this, you will no longer be carried away by every wave of emotion. You will begin to live with a stability that does not depend on how you feel today, but on who you know you are. And in that knowing, you will move through every season without losing yourself. When the sun comes, you will not become proud. When the rain comes, you will not be afraid. When the winds rise, you will not panic. When the sky is calm, you will not grow careless, for you know where your roots are planted. You know the source to which you are connected, and that source never runs dry. Therefore, my beloved, stop looking to the sky for answers about your identity. Look instead to the roots. Look to the foundation I have established within you. There is no fluctuation. There nothing shifts from day to day. There you will find the stability you have long been seeking. And I am there not merely as the one who observes your garden, but as the one who nurtures it, sustains it, and leads every season toward its fullness. Allow me to touch the deepest place you often avoid. For not everything that drains you comes in the form of large, recognizable waves. Some things enter your life quietly, so small that you permit them to remain without awareness. They begin in moments that seem harmless, a waiting that goes unanswered, a passing glance, an unspoken word, and you carry them inward, turning them over, analyzing, interpreting, as though your soul must decode everything in order to find rest. Yet within those cycles, an unseen current begins to form, not loud but persistent, drawing you away from the clarity I have placed within you. You do not recognize it at first, because it does not bring immediate collapse. It simply exhausts you over time. It leaves your mind restless. It keeps your heart in a state of vigilance, as though you must read every small signal from others to determine where you stand. And gradually you begin to let the reactions of others become the mirror through which you measure your own worth. When they are silent, you draw conclusions. When they shift, you begin to doubt. When they do not respond as you hoped, you start to question yourself. But my child, your identity was never designed to depend on such fluctuations. If you continue to place yourself beneath those signals, you will remain in a state of being pulled along, never arriving at true rest. I do not condemn you for having lived this way. I have seen every moment when you held yourself together outwardly, while inwardly waves rose without name. I have seen the nights when you replayed words and actions, wondering where you had fallen short. I have seen the weariness of trying to control what you cannot control, how others think, how they respond, how they perceive you. And I also see how this has been draining the life from you. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. John 10:10. And often it does not come through obvious attack, but through repetitive thoughts that slowly wear you down. Remember Samson. His strength was not taken in a great battle, but cut away while he slept. When he was unaware of what was happening, when he awoke, he thought he was as before, yet he did not know that the Lord had left him. Judges 16:20. So it is with you. You do not always lose your steadiness through a single dramatic event. Sometimes it is eroded by small things you overlook, until you find yourself weakened without understanding why. Therefore, I come not only to comfort you, but to cleanse that current, to block what has been quietly draining you. Imagine your heart as a sacred place, a space where I desire to dwell with clarity, order, and peace. But if every external sound is allowed to enter and alter the atmosphere within, you will never know stillness. A delayed message becomes thunder. A different glance becomes a storm. A brief silence becomes a long shadow. But I did not create you to live this way. I have not placed you under the authority of fragile signals from the world. I have called you to stand in the identity I have established, so that you may love without losing yourself, and open your heart without being bent by the reactions of others. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. Isaiah 26:3, that peace is not the result of everything around you becoming easy to understand or comfortable. It flows from your inner being held within my presence. When you anchor yourself there, small things no longer have the authority to magnify themselves. They still occur, but they no longer govern you. They still appear, but they no longer define you. My child, I do not call you to withdraw from people or to close your heart. I am not teaching you to become indifferent in order to avoid pain. I am leading you into a higher way of living, to be sensitive without being controlled, to be open without becoming dependent, to love without losing your foundation. When you stand firm in me, you will no longer need to decode every signal to determine your worth. You will know, and that knowing does not come from others, but from me, the one who has called you, known you, and kept you. Therefore, stop allowing small things to accumulate into great waves within you. Bring them to me as soon as they arise. Do not let them remain long enough to form cycles. As you do this, you will begin to notice a shift. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself. Jesus says, "This is not history, it is a living promise about your future." Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Your mind will grow quieter, your heart lighter, and your soul will begin to breathe again. And in that stillness, you will realize that I have always been here, unshaken by what fluctuates within you, yet close enough to touch every weary place in you and restore it. I do not desire for you merely to survive those cycles. I desire for you to be free from them, and that freedom begins when you stop granting authority to small things and return to the place where I hold you steady, at peace and unshaken. My child, do not draw back when I touch the unarranged corners of your heart. For what I do is not to confuse you, but to bring you into clarity. Imagine your inner life as a room that has long remained unopened. You still enter it each day, still live within it. Yet over time, you come to know only one thing. You are tired. You do not know where the weariness comes from, nor why your heart feels heavy. You only sense that something is no longer clear or free. Then when the light is turned on, not to condemn, but to reveal, you begin to see that every corner holds things that have never been addressed. Old sorrows hastily stored away, layers of worry never untangled. Memories you have kept not because they are alive, but because you fear the emptiness that might come if you let them go. I do not come to ask why you have left the room this way, nor do I stand at a distance to accuse. I step in with you. I open each place not to expose you to shame, but to help you discern what still holds value and what remains only because fear has become familiar. There are emotions you believe belong to today that are in truth old wounds wearing new garments. There are reactions you assume are part of your nature that are in fact echoes from a past season that was never healed. I want you to see this not so that you would be disappointed in yourself, but so that you may be free from what no longer belongs to you. Do not fear the emptiness that appears when I begin to remove what is unnecessary. You often think that if you let go, you will lose a part of yourself. But I tell you, not everything you are holding is truly you. Some things are only coverings, remnants of past wounds, traces from days when you had to protect yourself. When I take them away, you are not diminished, you are restored. And the space that appears is not a sign of lack, but a place where I am preparing to bring new life. Prepare the way for the Lord, make straight in the wilderness a highway for our God. Isaiah 43. Do you see? This clearing does not make you smaller. It opens the way for my peace to flow through you without obstruction. This work is a sacred journey, not because it is easy, but because it is true. I will teach you to discern between what you are genuinely feeling and what is merely a reflex formed from past wounds. There is sorrow that must be brought into the light to be healed, not buried deeper. There is fear that does not need to be nurtured, but must be confronted with truth. There is a sensitivity born of love, a gift I have placed within you. But there are also fluctuations that arise from places not yet restored. When you do not distinguish between them, everything blends together, and leaves you in confusion. But when I teach you to see clearly, you will no longer be misled. Remember Elijah on the mountain as he waited for me. A great wind came, but I was not in it. An earthquake followed, but I was not in it. Fire appeared, but I was not in it either. And after all of these, a gentle whisper came, and that is where I spoke. 1 Kings 19:11-12. So it is with you. Not everything loud within you is my voice. There are emotions that cry out for attention. There are memories that pull you back into the past, but my voice does not come to create chaos within you. My voice comes to restore order. Therefore, I am teaching you to restore the proper place of emotion. When it stands in the wrong place, it becomes an unstable ruler driving you in every direction, leaving you without rest. But when it returns to its rightful place, it becomes a messenger, honest, yet without authority. It brings what it perceives before me, and I will help you understand what is taking place within you. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7. You do not need to interpret everything on your own. You only need to bring it to me. My beloved, I do not do this work apart from you, nor do I force you beyond what you can bear. I walk with you step by step, opening each place, touching each layer, healing each depth. And as this process unfolds, you will begin to notice something. The weariness that once weighed upon you will begin to lift, not because all emotion disappears, but because it no longer occupies the place of life within you. Then you will see the room within you begin to change, not because it becomes empty, but because it becomes ordered. Not because memories vanish, but because they no longer govern you. Not because you stop feeling, but because you have learned to stand upon something stronger than feeling. And within that space I dwell, not crowded out by chaos, not overwhelmed by noise, but present with clarity, gentleness, and authority. Allow me to continue this work within you. Do not rush to close what I am opening. Do not be afraid when light reaches the places you once kept hidden, for I do not come to shame you. I come to free you, and that freedom begins when you allow me to cleanse, to heal, and to restore order in the deepest parts of you. My child, let me go even deeper within you, not only to remind you of your identity, but to remove from your shoulders what you have mistaken as being part of yourself. I do not only tell you that you are strong, I will show you what has caused you to believe you are weak. There are memories that have remained too long, repeating whispers that made you believe you are lacking, not enough, not yet whole. But when my light shines upon them, you will see that they are not truth. They are only traces of moments when you were weary. I do not erase them by denial, but by revealing their true nature, so that they no longer have the power to define you. There are reactions within you that cause you to rush into conclusions about yourself in a moment of weakness. You assume you are unstable in a single instance of wavering. You believe you lack maturity. But I do not see you as you see yourself. I do not evaluate you by an isolated response. I see the current beneath it, the wounds not yet healed, the places where you have had to hold yourself together alone. When I hold those places long enough, you will begin to understand that what you have called failure is simply a place in need of healing. And as that layer of misunderstanding falls away, you will begin to sense what I have spoken all along. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Isaiah 40:29. That strength does not arise from emotion, but from truth being restored. You will come to recognize something remarkable. Your inner strength is far greater than your mind has ever assumed. What causes you to waver is not that you are weak, but that you have grown accustomed to listening to voices that do not reflect who you truly are. When those voices grow quiet, you will see that you do not need to strive to become steady. You already are. You simply had not yet seen it. Look at Jonathan and his armor bearer. A story not loud, yet carrying a profound principle. They did not wait for a surge of emotion to confirm their step. They did not wait for a perfect sign to feel ready in a moment where reason itself could have hesitated. They held on to a simple conviction: perhaps the Lord will act on our behalf. 1 Samuel 14:6. This was not reckless impulse. It was a faith not dependent on inner conditions. As they advanced up the rocky pass, there was no emotional excitement lifting them, no outward assurance surrounding them. Yet in that very movement, I was at work. The confusion that fell upon the enemy did not come from their own strength, but from my power moving through their steps. Do you see? The victory did not begin with them feeling ready, but with them trusting me beyond what they felt. I tell you this so that you may understand the peace I give you does not make you passive. It does not cause you to stand still until every emotion aligns. Instead, it frees you from dependence on emotion so that you can move even when your inner world is not yet fully quiet. This is the peace of one who knows they are being led. One who does not need constant emotional reinforcement to proceed, nor requires certainty from feeling in order to act. My child, I'm teaching you a different way of living, not by the shifting rhythm of emotion, but by my leading. Not waiting until something feels right before you act, but acting upon what has already been established as truth. When you live this way, you will no longer be carried away by inner fluctuations. You will walk with a steadiness that no wave can take from you. And in time, you will look back and realize that what once weighed you down was not true strength. It was only a layer that never belonged to you. When I remove it, you do not become empty. You become light. You do not lose anything that is truly yours. You simply lose what has been covering you. And in that lightness, you will walk not by your own strength, but by mine flowing within you, steady, clear, and no longer ruled by what is fleeting. My child, engrave this not only in your memory, but into the very foundation of your soul. You were not created to be led by the fluctuations within you, but to take hold of them and place them in their rightful order. Emotions may shift like the wind, but you are not the wind. You are the vast sky, the steady expanse through which all movement passes without defining your essence. I have not called you to walk according to what you feel in each moment. I have called you to walk according to what I have already spoken for. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Matthew 24:35. When you hold fast to that truth, you will no longer stop because of a heavy day, nor rush forward because of a fleeting surge of excitement. You will walk by revelation, not by the unstable rhythm of emotion. And this is the freedom I am opening before you. Consider again how I have taught you to discern. There are those who live as slaves to emotion, carried away by every small shift. And there are those who lead their emotions back into order, refusing to let them rule. I desire you to be among the latter, like Jonathan and his armor-bearer, standing in a situation that seemed impossible. They did not wait for favorable signs, nor for their hearts to feel ready, but held on to a simple conviction. Perhaps the Lord will act on our behalf. 1 Samuel 14:6. They moved, not by emotional waves, but by trust. And as they stepped forward, I moved. The enemy fell into confusion, while they remained steady. Do you see? The peace I give does not slow you down. It frees you from dependence on feeling, so that you can move even when there is no inner surge, urging you forward. Therefore, I am teaching you to live by a different rhythm, not the rhythm of emotion, but the rhythm of truth. When you live this way, you are no longer carried away by every inner fluctuation. You do not wait until something feels right before you act. You know, and because you know, you move. This is the strength of a soul rightly aligned. A soul not shaken by the wind, but one that knows how to direct it according to the path I have set. Now, let me draw you into an inner picture. Your soul is like a room that has accumulated many things over time. Torn fragments of memory lie scattered like pages never revisited. Layers of doubt hang across the pathways, leaving you little space to breathe. Longings for recognition are stored like sealed boxes covered in dust. I step in not to shame you, but to restore order with you. I lift each layer of pain, not to expose you, but to free you. I remove false labels, things you once believed were part of your nature, but are in truth only the result of wariness. I open the corners you once sealed, allowing light to enter places where darkness had grown familiar. There may be moments when it feels as though everything is being stirred at once, as though I am touching too much, too quickly. But my child, this is not destruction. It is restoration. When the windows are opened, the breath of my spirit will enter, carrying the life you have long been without, and you will begin to understand that what exhausted you was not life itself, but the accumulation of what had never been cleared away. The peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4:7. When that peace stands at the center, everything else will return to its rightful place. In this process, I am also removing from you layers that never belonged to you. The memories that once made you believe you were weak. I show you they were only signs of your wariness, not your lack. The reactions you once labeled as immaturity, I hold them in the light long enough for you to see that they were simply the cries of wounds, not yet healed. The moments you called failure, I turn them so you can see that you were not departing from truth, but only momentarily carried by emotional waves. And when those false burdens fall away, you will begin to sense your true strength. Not a strength produced by emotion, but a strength that flows from identity. I have called you by your name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. When that word becomes real within you, you will no longer be shaken by what happens around you or within you. You will know who you are, and that knowing will keep you standing firm. My beloved, I do not only want you to understand this, I want you to live in it, so that whenever emotions rise, you neither fear them nor chase after them, but recognize they are signals, not your foundation. You may listen, but you do not obey them. You bring them to me, and I will teach you to understand. And gradually you will enter a different kind of life, where emotions are no longer masters, but messengers, where your soul is no longer pulled in every direction, but becomes a place of steadiness, where you are no longer defined by what is passing, but shaped by what is eternal. And I, the one who has called you, known you, and kept you, will always be there, leading you through every season, unchanging, unshaken, and faithful. My child, pause for a moment and taste again what you have touched before. But sometimes let slip away the peace of authority, not a fragile peace dependent on circumstances, but a peace that carries command, like when I spoke over the raging sea. Be still, and the wind bowed, and the waves fell silent. When that peace reigns within you, you no longer live by the rising and falling of feeling, but stand firm in the identity rooted in me. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Matthew 24:35. That word becomes the foundation beneath every breath you take, so that even when movement stirs within you, you are not carried away. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. From that foundation, I teach you something that may seem small, yet opens the door to strength, the ability to pause. One who does not know how to pause will be swept away. A soul that does not pause before strong emotion will soon be exhausted. Therefore, whenever a wave rises, do not react immediately. Stand still in me. Let stillness come between stimulus and action. In quietness and trust shall be your strength. Isaiah 30:15. Then ask yourself, not in panic but in clarity, is this signaling, or is it binding? Is it drawing me closer to Him, or pulling me away? These questions are not meant to produce doubt, but to place your hands back on the wheel. And where you take the wheel is the direction your soul will go, but you cannot steer if you are empty within. Therefore, I call you to fill yourself with truth before the day begins. Turbulent emotions always seek empty spaces to take root. But when your mind is saturated with my word, they find no place to remain. Step into each day like a warrior, already clothed not in the armor of human will, but in the armor of promise. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:1 or 5. When that light leads you, you do not need to chase every emotion to know where to go. You simply follow the light, and everything else falls back into its rightful place. Then I teach you something many overlook. The atmosphere around you can either nourish or erode your soul. Emotions do not arise only from within. They are also carried through the environments you inhabit. If you remain among anxiety, you will begin to take on its rhythm. If you dwell in peace, you will start to breathe out stillness. Therefore, choose what you listen to. Choose those you engage with. Choose the places where you set your steps. He who walks with the wise grows wise. Proverbs 13-20. This is not merely social advice. It is a spiritual principle. You are building an unseen boundary around your soul, a boundary that preserves the light from being extinguished by foreign winds. Do not lower yourself to blend into the emotional currents around you. When I lift you to a higher place, I do not call you to shrink yourself to fit old patterns. I call you to remain at that height, not to separate from others, but to draw them upward as a lamp is not placed beneath, but set on high to give light. So you are called to carry my atmosphere wherever you go. When you hold that peace, you are not only guarding yourself, you become a conduit through which others are steadied. My child, this is the life I am teaching you, not to chase emotion, but to lead it, not to resist every stirring, but to bring it under the authority of truth, not to seek stability outside, but to live from the firmness within. And as you walk in this way, you will come to see something clearly. The waves do not disappear, but they no longer govern you, and I remain there, the one who once spoke. Be still, still speaking within you now, not to silence you, but to quiet what does not belong to truth, not to suppress your voice, but to sharpen your hearing, and in that stillness you will walk steady, discerning, and free. My child, rise in the awareness I placed within you from the beginning. You were not formed as a fragile shelter shaken by every wind, but as a stronghold with gates, with walls, with authority to guard what enters. You are not a leaf changing color with every season. You are a place where light is lifted high, so that nothing may obscure it. Therefore, do not continue allowing every whisper to enter without examination. I have established you as a fortified city, an iron pillar, a bronze wall. Jeremiah 1:18. Not so that you withdraw, but so that you stand firm amid every movement. When you understand this, you will no longer live as one driven by the wind, but as one who listens for the voice of heaven, no longer turning outward for constant affirmation, but inclining inward to hear what I speak. There will be memories that attempt to return, carrying familiar feelings, demanding to remain as though they have a right. But my child, not everything familiar has permission to stay. Learn to set a gate. Let every thought, every emotion, every memory come before the light of truth. Whatever does not align with the identity I have given you must not remain. This is not rigidity. It is maturity. The mature do not let the wind determine their path. They allow truth to shape their steps. Great deservant of El. The moment seemed small, yet it carried great distress. For what was lost appeared to have sunk beyond recovery, but Elisha did not panic, nor did he accuse. He threw a piece of wood into the water, and what was heavy and lost rose to the surface. 2 Kings 65:7. Do you see? What had sunk did not belong at the bottom by right. It had simply not yet encountered intervention. In the same way, the emotions that once weighed you down are not your destiny. When I touch them, I cause what seemed out of control to become visible again, to rise before your eyes, not so that it may pull you under, but so that you may take hold of it, understand it, and place it where it belongs. From that place, you are no longer one who is carried away, but one who can steward what was once lost. Therefore, I give you a way to sustain peace with authority. First, you must learn to pause, not because you are weak, but because you are reclaiming your authority to direct. When a wave of emotion rises, do not react immediately. Breathe, step back within your mind and ask, is this signaling or is it controlling? Is it drawing me toward the light or pulling me away from truth? That question becomes your steering wheel. When you pause, you are not losing time. You are regaining control. And in that pause, you will hear my voice more clearly, for in quietness and trust is your strength. Isaiah 30:15. Next, you must fill your mind with truth before other things attempt to enter. An empty mind is not neutral. It is open ground for foreign seeds. But when you place my word there first, you cover that ground with light. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. 105. When the light is already present, darkness does not need to be driven out. It departs on its own, having no place to remain. Emotions may still pass through, but they no longer have permission to stay. And then be attentive to the atmosphere in which you live. You are not only shaped by what you think, but by what you hear, what you see, and the people you remain close to. If you dwell among unrest, you will begin to carry its rhythm. But if you remain within an environment of truth, of faith, of encouragement, you will begin to breathe in the rhythm of peace. He who walks with the wise grows wise. Proverbs 13:20. This is an unseen boundary I place around you, not to restrict you, but to protect the flame within you from unnecessary winds. My child, I have lifted you to a higher place, and I do not want you to lower yourself to fit the fears of others. You are not called to adapt to the instability around you. You are called to bring stability into it. As a lamp set on high does not dim its light to blend with darkness, so you are not to diminish your spiritual height to match the emotions of others. Instead, you lift them upward by the steadiness you carry. Remember this: you do not need to control every wind in order to stand firm. You only need to know who you are and remain in that place. When you do this, the wind may blow and the waves may rise, but you will not be carried away, for your foundation is not in what changes, but in me, the one who never changes. And I am there not only to raise you up, but to keep you standing so that you may live as you were created to be. a fortified place with gates, a light set on high, and a soul that cannot be shaken. My child, as I continue the work of refinement within you, there will be moments when it feels as though everything is becoming heavier, deeper, more painful. But do not be quick to fear. What you are sensing is not deterioration, but truth being touched. When the needle reaches the skin, there is a sting. Yet it is precisely in that moment that what has been hidden begins to be drawn out. I do not bring pain to cause you to fall. I touch so that you may be healed at the root, the echoes you once avoided. I will lift up the hidden roots that have kept you bound in cycles. I will break, and when I lead you into stillness, do not misunderstand that place. Stillness is not abandonment. It is the operating room where I do my deepest work. It is in that quiet that I reach what noise could never touch. There will come a morning when you realize that what once kept you awake no longer has authority over you. It may still knock, but it cannot force its way in. Old wounds no longer bleed. They remain only as faint marks, like a passing breeze that no longer shakes you. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4:7. That peace is not a passing feeling, but a sentry standing watch at the gate of your mind, refusing to allow chaos to reclaim its place. And when this becomes real within you, you will stand upright in your identity, no longer shrinking, no longer doubting, but firm in what I have established. And then I will not only restore you, I will rebuild you. I will place within your eyes a steadiness that others can look into and find grounding. I will place within your voice a not to impose, but to open the way so that those who are lost may hear and find direction. I will place within your presence an atmosphere of peace, so that anyone who draws near will sense a stillness not born of this world. You will not need to strive to become this when you are aligned within. It will flow outward naturally. Remember this, my beloved, the wind will still blow. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. John 3:8. The movements of emotion do not disappear entirely, but they no longer define you. The sky does not change because the wind passes through it. In the same way, your identity is not rewritten by what moves through your heart. You are no longer one who is shaped by the inner climate. You become one who directs it. I have caused your axe head to rise from the water. What once sank, what once felt out of control, has now been placed back into your hands. And you will not only stand firm yourself, you will help others stand. For when a soul is established in order, it no longer lives only for itself. It becomes an anchor for those around it. This is what I am completing in you. Not merely healing, but transformation from chaos into order, from instability into steadiness, from being led into leading, from wariness into peace with authority. And as you walk in this reality, others will see, not you, but me within you. They will recognize that there is one at work, one who has touched you and accomplished what you could never accomplish on your own. Remain in this process. Do not fear when I go deep. Do not withdraw when light reaches the places you once hid. for I do not come to weaken you. I come to establish you as I have intended, steady, clear, and filled with the authority of peace. And I will not cease until this work within you is brought to completion. My beloved child, there are moments when you wonder how a small flame, like your faith, can possibly stand amid the violent winds of life. You feel fragile, as though one more wave would be enough to sweep everything away. Yet before fear has the chance to take root, I want you to understand this. It is not your own strength that is holding you together. It is I who am holding you. When your heart trembles, I remain unshaken. When darkness seems to close in, I still see every step you take. Even when you think you have slipped from my grasp, it is in truth my hands that are lifting you, carrying you through places you do not have the strength to walk alone. There is something you must release. The belief that your connection with me depends on the steadiness of your emotions. You often measure your spiritual state by what you feel when you feel strong. You believe you are near to me when you feel weak. You assume you have drifted away. But my child, I do not change according to the rise and fall of your heart. As it is written in Psalm 21:5, the Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. My protection is not a reaction to your circumstances, but an expression of my unchanging nature. My love does not ebb and flow like the tides. It is deep and steadfast like an endless ocean. And as you begin to grasp this, you will realize that you do not need to strain yourself to hold on to me. You have tried to become good enough, disciplined enough, perfect enough, as though a single misstep could cause you to lose me. But I have never established our relationship on such a fragile foundation. I do not love you because you do everything right. I love you because you belong to me. I am the one who upholds this covenant. As it is written in 2 Timothy 2:13, if we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself. You see, my faithfulness does not depend on you. It flows from who I am. Remember the story of Peter when he stepped out of the boat onto the water. As long as his eyes were fixed on the Lord, he walked upon what should have been impossible. But when he turned his gaze to the wind and the waves, he began to sink. Yet the most important detail is not that he sank, but what happened next. As it is written in Matthew 14:31, Jesus immediately reached out his hand and caught him. Do you see? Even when your faith falters, my hand does not delay. I do not stand at a distance waiting for you to save yourself. I reach toward you, lifting you from the place you thought was the end. So do not misunderstand your moments of weakness. They are not evidence that you are drifting away from me, but opportunities for you to see more clearly who is truly holding you. There will be times when you no longer have the strength to pray as before, when the fervor you once felt seems to fade, and you fear that the flame within you is dying. But I tell you this, even when you cannot feel the fire, my warmth still surrounds you. That flame was never something you ignited on your own. And it does not depend entirely on you to endure. I am its source, and I do not run dry. More than that, what I have placed within you is not a temporary mark. It is not like ink on paper that fades with time, but an imprint engraved into the very essence of your being. When I breathed life into you, I placed within you something that belongs to heaven, as it is written in Isaiah 49:16, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. This means you cannot be erased from me by any darkness. Even when you cannot see that mark, it still remains unchanged, unbroken, and everlasting. There will come a time when you realize that what you have called mighty winds are not stronger than the foundation I have laid within you. Trials are not permitted to define who you are. They are only allowed to reveal what I have already built inside you. As it is written in Matthew 7:25, the house built upon the rock, the rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house. Yet it did not fall. You are not standing on the shifting sand of emotions, but on the solid rock of my promise. So do not rush to draw conclusions about your journey simply because you are passing through a difficult season. Do not let days of weakness erase your awareness of what I have already done within you. I do not begin a work only to abandon it halfway, as it is written in Philippians 1:6. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. You are in a process, not in failure. Let your heart come to rest in this truth. You do not need to strive to hold on to me, for I have never let go of you. When you are weary, I lift you. When you lose direction, I guide you. When you think you are falling, I am carrying you. And it is precisely in those moments when you feel the weakest that you will begin to perceive something deeper. That true strength does not come from standing firm on your own, but from being held secure in me, my beloved. There are seasons when your inner life feels dry, like parched ground waiting for rain that does not seem to come. And in those moments, you may be tempted to believe that heaven's door has closed. But do not be quick to conclude what you cannot fully see. The silence you hear is not the emptiness of abandonment, but the space I am using to deepen your foundation. There are things that can only be built when the noise subsides, when you are no longer clinging to feelings, but begin to stand upon truth. It is often when you feel nothing that I am doing the most quietly, hidden yet firmly, as it is written in Jeremiah 31:3, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, I have drawn you with loving kindness. You see, you did not come to me by your own strength. It was I who drew you, and I do not draw you halfway only to release you. There will also be moments when you look back at your missteps and wonder whether you still have a place in my plan. Old memories may whisper that you have gone too far, failed too often, that you are no longer worthy to continue. But my child, you are listening to voices that have no authority to define you. What you call failure cannot rewrite what I have already inscribed. I do not alter my intentions because of your stumbles. I have seen every turn, every moment of weakness, every season of wandering, and still I chose you, as it is promised again in Philippians 1:6. The work I began in you will be brought to completion, which means your journey is not sustained by your perfection, but by my faithfulness. Look at the story of Elijah. when he fled into the wilderness. Exhausted and overwhelmed to the point of despair, he had witnessed fire fall from heaven and had seen great power. Yet even he experienced fear, weakness, and the sense of being utterly alone. Yet I did not come to him in the wind, nor in the earthquake, but in what is described in 1 Kings 19:12 as a still small voice. Do you understand? Even those who have been strong will pass through seasons of weakness. But my presence does not vanish in those seasons. It simply reveals itself in a different way. When you no longer perceive me through the dramatic and the visible, I am still there in the quiet, gentle, subtle, yet more real than ever. Therefore, do not measure the distance between you and me by what you feel in a day, a week, or a season. That relationship is not quantified by the rise and fall of emotions, nor is it determined by what you have done right or wrong. It lies deeper than all of those things. It is rooted in the very being I have created in you. Just as you breathe without having to think about it, your connection with me is just as natural. You do not need to strive to exist in me, for you were created to belong to me. As it is written in Acts 17:20-27-28, he is not far from each one of us, for in him we live and move and have our being. Which means that even when you are unaware, you are still within my embrace. There is a truth you must hold firmly. You are not kept because you are worthy, but because I have chosen to love you. That love is not my reaction to your actions. It is my nature. When I called you, I did not call you based on performance, but on purpose. And once I have placed you within the current of my intention, nothing can easily pull you out of it. Your mistakes do not have the authority to cancel my calling, nor can they erase the mark I have set upon you. And when you begin to understand this, you will start to walk with a different kind of peace. You will no longer panic every time your emotions shift. You will no longer condemn yourself each time you feel weak. Instead, you will learn how to return not through perfect prayers, not through grand actions, but sometimes through nothing more than a sincere sigh, and you will discover that the moment you turn back, I was already there. I do not wait for your perfection to draw near. I am present even in your imperfection. So when you pass through dry seasons, do not think that you are walking alone. When you do not hear me, do not assume that I have fallen silent forever. When you cannot feel me, do not conclude that I have withdrawn. I am still at work deeper than your emotions, more enduring than your circumstances, and more real than what you can see. And one day, you will look back and realize that those seasons that felt empty were the very places where I caused your roots to grow deepest, so that when the winds come, you no longer fear being uprooted, but stand firm in me with a faith no longer dependent on what you feel, but anchored in what I have promised from the beginning. My beloved, before you take another step, let this truth be laid down beneath your feet like an unshakable foundation. You are not the one who must cling to me in fear. You are the one whom I hold in unchanging love. As long as you believe, everything depends on your own ability. Your heart will continue to tremble, for you know your limits. But when you realize that I am the one who holds you, a deep peace will begin to spread through your soul. As my Son has declared in John 128, no one can snatch my sheep out of my hand. This is not a temporary comfort, but a declaration of eternal authority. You remain in my hand, not because you are strong enough to stay, but because I am powerful enough to keep you. And when you grasp this, you will no longer walk as one afraid of losing, but as one who knows he is carried by heaven. And from that foundation, I want you to see more deeply the relationship between you and me, not as two separate beings standing near one another, but as life flowing within life. When I say in John 15:5, I am the vine, you are the branches, I am not offering a poetic image for you to admire and forget. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus, it is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now, with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. I am revealing a reality that is at work within every breath you take. A branch does not merely cling to the vine, it lives by the sap that flows silently within it. In the same way, you do not simply stand beside me. You exist within me. The life within you is not self-generated but is carried from my eternal source. Therefore, when you feel depleted, it is not a sign that you have been cut off, but an invitation to recognize that the flow is still at work within you, even when you cannot perceive it. There are days when you are so weary that it feels as though you no longer have the strength to stand, and you assume you must push yourself just to make it through. But I tell you this, it is precisely when you believe you are at your weakest that I am working most powerfully. As it is written in Isaiah 4:31, those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. You think you are trying to fly with exhausted wings, but in truth, I am lifting you with my strength. And when your heart feels dry, do not assume you have been left behind in the wilderness. I do not stand at a distance watching you thirst. I cause living water to rise from within you, as it is declared in John 7:38, whoever believes in me, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. You do not need to run in search of the source. You are directly connected to the source. I also want you to understand something you often overlook. Even when you believe you are standing firm by your own will, it is still I who am sustaining every step you take. As it is written in Psalm 145, "The Lord upholds all who fall and lifts up all who are bowed down." You have never truly been independent from me, even if it has felt that way, even in moments when you are distracted, lost, or weak. My current continues to flow within you without interruption. You may not recognize me, but I have never departed from you. Remember Eli, who once stood in the midst of heavenly fire and great power, yet later fled into the wilderness in fear. He sat beneath a tree, exhausted and ready to give up, believing his journey had come to an end. But I did not leave him to recover in despair. I sent an angel with bread and water, and then called him to rise and continue his journey. As recorded in 1 Kings 19, do you see? When he no longer had the strength to sustain himself, I sustained him. This is how I act in your life as well. When you feel like giving up, I do not stand by and watch. I provide what you need at the moment you need it, whether you recognize it or not. Therefore, do not measure your relationship with me by the moments when your prayers feel strong or weak. That connection is not confined to sacred instances when you close your eyes and speak words. It is active in the midst of your everyday life, in small decisions, in ordinary steps, even in those moments when you are so tired that you cannot form a prayer. As it is written in Acts 17:9-28, "In him we live and move and have our being." You do not move in and out of my presence. You remain in it continually. You may think that each time you return to me, it is because you were alert enough to find your way back. But I tell you, it is I who draws you. As it is written in John X, "Fear unfeg. No one can come to me unless the Father draws him." You are not maintaining this journey by your own effort. You are being held within a covenant established long before. That covenant does not sleep, does not grow weary, and cannot be broken by disappointment or doubt. It is stronger than your shifting emotions, and more enduring than the trials you face, and understand this clearly. Darkness does not fear your outward strength as much as it fears your recognition of this truth. When you know that you are never separated from me, every lie loses its power. No matter what circumstances say, no matter what memories try to remind you of, the truth stands firm, as written in Romans font, "Who shall separate us from the love of Christ?" No hardship, no weakness, no failure has the authority to pull you away from me. When I have placed you within my own life, so my beloved, rest. Do not strive to become strong enough to hold this relationship, for you were not called to hold, you were called to abide. A branch does not hold itself to the tree, the vine holds the branch, and I am your vine. When you understand this, your heart will cease striving, your soul will release its fear, and you will begin to live not from effort, but from trust. And in that trust, you will find yourself covered, sustained, and kept not by your strength, but by me, the one who will never let you go. My beloved child, let this sink deep into your soul before you look at any circumstance. You are not created to live in fear of losing your connection with me. You have been placed within a stream of life that never runs dry, a current that does not depend on your emotional state, nor is it interrupted by your moments of weakness. when you are confused. I do not withdraw when you are distracted. I do not cease working when you stumble. I do not cut life off from you. He prunes, but I do not sever, as it is written in John's Son. Why, every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. My correction is not rejection. It is preparation for a season of greater fruitfulness than you have ever imagined. And as you begin to understand this, you will no longer look at difficult seasons through the lens of fear. You will recognize that even when your heart feels dry, the flow of life has not ceased within you. You are not merely attached to me as something external. You live by me from within. When you are weak, I supply strength. When you are empty, I fill. When you want to let go, I hold. When you wander, I draw you back. I am not standing beside you as a distant observer. I am operating within you as life itself. As it is written in Acts 17:28, in him we live and move and have our being, which means you cannot step outside of me in the way you imagine. Yet I know there are moments when you still feel as though you are being tossed by the winds of life. And in those moments, I want you to hold this image in your heart. Picture yourself as a kite in a vast sky. And I am the hand holding the string. Your height is not determined by the wind, but by the hand that holds you. At times the wind lifts you higher. At times it shakes you. At times it falls still, and you feel as though you are about to drop. But in all of it, the string remains in my hand, as it is written in Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. You may feel instability, but I am never unstable. And hear me clearly without any doubt. A kite only falls when the hand releases it. But I declare, as written in Hebrews 13:9-5, I will never leave you nor forsake you. You may feel distant, but that feeling is not the ultimate reality. The reality is that I am still holding you. The distance you perceive does not come from a weakening of the connection, but from the noise within you. Old memories not yet healed, fears not yet surrendered, pressures that make you believe you must prove your worth. All of these form a dense fog that clouds your vision and dulls your ability to hear my voice. Therefore, you must learn to distinguish between emotion and truth. Emotions rise and fall like waves, but truth stands firm like a rock. When you rely on emotions, you will always be unsettled. But when you stand upon truth, you will not be shaken. As it is written in Matthew 24:35, heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away. Which means that even when everything within you shifts, my word remains in its place. When your heart is troubled, my covenant is not. When your mind is pulled in many directions, I remain the unshakable center. Remember the story of the prodigal son. When he left home, he believed he had severed every connection with his father. He went far away, squandered everything, and eventually fell into poverty and shame. Yet, what changed the story was not his return to perfection, but his return itself. And while he was still far off, his father saw him and ran to embrace him. As it is written in Luke 15, do you see the bond was not broken by his wandering? It was only obscured in his perception. And when you return, you are not starting over from the beginning. You are coming back to what has always been waiting for you. So, my beloved, let your soul rest in this truth. You do not walk alone where I walk with you. You do not stand alone, for I uphold you. You do not fight alone, for I act within you. The life of heaven does not merely touch you. It flows through you every moment. As you remain in me, you will come to see that this connection is not a fragile thread that can easily snap, but eternal life beating in rhythm with your own heart. And within that rhythm, you will find a peace that does not depend on circumstances, a stability that cannot be shaken, and a love that will never let you go. My beloved child, there are times when you feel as though you are standing in the midst of a stormy sea, your heart unsettled by the relentless waves of thoughts and emotions. And in those moments, you may believe you are beginning to sink. But I want you to remember an image not to frighten you, but to deepen your understanding. When Peter stepped out of the boat, he was not sustained by his own ability, but by the focus of his gaze upon me. When that gaze shifted to the wind and the waves, he began to sink, not because I withdrew my hand, but because his attention moved away from the source. And the moment he cried out, I did not hesitate, nor did I judge. I immediately reached out and took hold of him. As it is written in Matthew 14:31, Jesus immediately reached out his hand and caught him. Do you see? Even when you are overtaken by fear, the connection is not severed. It is only obscured by distraction. I do not stand at a distance watching you sink. I am always within reach. From this, learn to listen. Amid the noise within your own heart, you hear the voice of the past replaying your failures, the voice of comparison telling you that you are not enough, the weight of expectations pressing heavily upon you. And at times, even your own harsh voice turned against yourself. Yet in the midst of all these sounds, my voice has not disappeared. It is simply not loud. As I revealed to Elijah, I was not in the wind or the earthquake, but in a still small voice, as recorded in 1 Kings 19:11-12. You do not need to search for me in the noise. You will recognize me when you become still enough to hear. And when you hear, you will realize that I have never left. You were simply drawn away by other voices. Let me reset the foundation of your thinking. Your emotions do not have the authority to sever what I have established. Fear may cause you to withdraw, but it cannot cause me to step back. Old memories may pull you toward the past, but they cannot erase what I have inscribed. As it is written in Isaiah 49:16, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. This is not merely poetic imagery for your comfort. It is a declaration that you are secured in my faithfulness, not in your own stability. When you feel distant, do not rush to accept that feeling as truth. Ask instead, have I truly moved away? Or, have you been listening to the wrong voice? There will be seasons when my presence feels dim to you, as though light is veiled by a dense mist. But I tell you this so that your soul may rest. The feeling of distance is not evidence of separation. It is simply a sign that you must grow quieter, slow down enough to recognize what has always been there. When your mind is troubled, I do not depart. I illuminate. as it is written in Psalm 119:105, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." I do not only keep you from falling, I guide you forward, step by step, even when you cannot see the entire way. And now I want you to go even deeper, beyond every outward image, to touch a reality within you. The connection between you and me is not merely like a cord held from the outside. It is like the bloodstream flowing through your body. You do not see it. You do not control each beat of your heart, yet it sustains your life every second. In the same way, the life that comes from me is continually at work within you, regardless of whether you are conscious of it or not. As it is written in Acts 17:25, He gives to all life, breath, and everything. I do not wait for you to become strong in order to give you life. I give you life so that you may become strong. Yet you often think you must reach a certain level before you are worthy to receive that presence. You believe you must be good enough, mature enough, steady enough. But I tell you, breath is not a reward for the worthy. It is grace for the one who needs to live. As it is written in Psalm 34:118, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." I do not require you to strive in order to prove yourself. I invite you to open your heart to receive. You do not sustain this relationship through tension. I sustain it through my presence. Remember the story of David when he lost his way and carried the heavy burden of his sin. He did not return to me through perfection, but through a repentant heart, crying out for restoration. "Create in me a clean heart," as written in Psalm 51:10. And I did not reject him. I did not remove him from my purpose. I restored him. Do you see? The relationship is not broken by weakness. It is renewed when you return. Therefore, my beloved, do not fear the winds that shake you, nor the stillness that makes you feel empty. Do not fear when you no longer sense me as you once did. What holds you is not your feeling, but the truth. My hand is still holding you. The current of life is still flowing. The covenant is still at work. When you remember this, your heart will gradually come to rest. And in that stillness, you will no longer drift with the wind, but rise because you are being held. Let your soul find rest in this. You do not walk alone, for I am in every step you take. You do not stand alone, for I uphold you from within. You do not fight alone, for I am at work in you. And no matter how many seasons you pass through, no matter what you feel, I remain your Father. The one who does not let go, does not depart, and does not change. My beloved child, let your heart grow quiet and look upon a truth that cannot be shaken. When the prodigal son left his father's house, he believed he had lost everything: his position, his identity, and even love itself. But remember, while he was still far away, the Father saw him first, ran to him, and embraced him without waiting for him to become perfect again. Distance did not weaken love. It revealed the depth of mercy. In the same way, no matter what darkness you pass through, you cannot go so far that I cannot reach you. As it is written in Isaiah 49:16, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. That mark does not fade with time, nor is it erased by failure. You do not return to me as a stranger. you return as one who has always belonged. So do not allow deceptive voices to convince you that you have been separated from me. Many voices will try to persuade you that you have gone too far, that grace is no longer sufficient, that you are no longer worthy. But I declare this to you with unchanging authority: you belong to me. As it is written in John 10:28, no one can snatch them out of my hand. You do not stand within my protection because you have managed to hold your place, but because I hold you in my hand. Every trial, every temptation, every memory seeks to do one thing: to make you forget your true identity. But your identity is not written by your failures. It is written by the breath I placed within you from the beginning. There will be days when you do not feel this clearly. There will be moments when your faith is like a small light in a dense fog, and you fear it may go out. But my child, life does not cease simply because you cannot see it, just as your bloodstream continues to flow without your awareness. My life within you continues, even when you are distracted, as it is written in 2 Timothy 2:13. If we are faithless, he remains faithful. Because this connection does not depend on your emotions, but on my unchanging nature. It does not weaken with time. It is deepened each time you rise again, strengthened each time you cry. Abba Father, as expressed in Romans 8:15, I want you to understand that you are not an anonymous soul lost in the world. I know you and I call you by your very name. As it is written in John 10:9-3, the shepherd calls his own sheep by name, and that call is never mistaken. When you are surrounded by noise, I still recognize even your faintest sigh. When you think you have wandered off the map, I still see your position more clearly than you understand yourself. You carry within you a spiritual imprint that no one else can bear in your place, a position that no one else can replace. Therefore, my beloved, do not live in the fear of losing. Live in the awareness that you are continually sustained by the flow of life from heaven. You do not need to climb upward to reach me. I have already come down and dwell within you. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. You do not need to hold on to me. I am holding you, and every time you return, every time you believe, every time you whisper, Father, that connection is not newly created. It is made clearer in your awareness. Go deeper still into what I am opening before you. The connection between you and me is not like a current that only flows when you switch it on. It is like an unseen field surrounding your life, like the force that keeps a planet in orbit. You do not see it, yet you remain within it at all times. As it is written in Colossians 1:10-17, He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. You are not drifting in empty space. You are held within my orbit, covered by a presence that never ceases. Have you noticed this? When you think you are moving away, you begin to feel an even stronger pull to return. That is not coincidence. It is my drawing at work within you. When you are near, my leading feels as gentle as breath. When you wander, it becomes a deeper urging within your soul. I do not always speak with loud sounds, nor do I always reveal myself through dramatic signs. I guide you through a quiet yet persistent force, as it is written in Isaiah 58 sign 11. The Lord will guide you continually. You do not need to hear every word clearly. You only need to recognize the faintest prompting within. That alone is enough to know that I am there. Remember Jonah when he tried to flee from my calling. He boarded a ship, went in the opposite direction, believing he could escape my presence. Yet, you know what happened. No matter how far he went, I remained with him, not to punish, but to bring him back to the path appointed for him. Even in the belly of the great fish, when he thought everything was over, I heard his cry and brought him back to dry land, as recorded in Jonah 2. Do you see? Distance does not break my purpose. It becomes part of the journey through which I lead you back into place. So, my beloved, let your heart rest in this. You do not walk alone. You do not stand alone. You are not drifting without direction. You are held within an unchanging covenant, covered by an unfailing love, guided by an unceasing presence. When you understand this, you will no longer fear the shifting of seasons, nor be troubled when your heart wavers. For regardless of what you feel or what circumstances say, the truth remains. I am the life within you, and I never cease to flow. My beloved child, become still a little deeper, for I want you to recognize a way in which I have been leading you, that you often overlook, not through loudness, but through the gentlest stirrings within your soul. I do not always call you with thunder. I touch you like a breeze passing over water, creating ripples that quietly spread. Have you ever felt a subtle prompting, a sense that something is calling you though no voice is heard? Do not dismiss it as coincidence. That is the resonance of the covenant between you and me speaking within you. As with Samuel when he was young, he heard a voice in the night, but did not yet recognize it until he learned to respond. Speak, for your servant is listening, as written in 1 Samuel 3:10. So it is with you. The stirrings you once thought were fleeting are the footsteps of my nearness. Therefore, do not wait for great signs before you believe that I am leading you. I am often most clearly at work in stillness, as it is written in Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. When you pause long enough, you will begin to recognize that what you thought were your own thoughts. The subtle shifts in your decisions, the impulses you cannot explain, these are being gently aligned by me. You think you are navigating on your own, but I am adjusting your orbit little by little, quietly, precisely, and faithfully. And not only through gentle prompting do I lead you, I also guide you through something you may not yet understand correctly, what you might call a holy unease. not the fear that causes you to shrink back, but a quiet unrest when you are about to step into something that does not belong to you. It is like when you are about to move forward, yet your soul whispers, "Not this, not yet." Do not ignore that voice. When you are about to enter a misaligned connection, when you try to open a door I have not opened, you will sense within you that something does not settle. That is not weakness in your faith. It is me holding you back. Remember Paul, he intended to go into a certain region, yet the Spirit did not permit him. Then in the night he saw a vision of a man from Macedonia and understood the true direction, as recorded in Acts 16:6-10. The hindrance was not failure, it was redirection. I do not always close doors with noise. Often I simply place within you a quiet unrest that is strong enough to make you pause. As it is written in Proverbs 3:9, a man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. When you learn to honor that holy unease, you will avoid paths that seem right to your eyes, but are not what I have appointed. Do not mistake my protection for rejection. When a door does not open, when something that seemed promising does not come to pass, you may think you have been overlooked. But I tell you, I am protecting you from what you cannot yet see. Just as a shepherd does not lead his flock into danger, I do not allow you to step into what does not belong to you. As it is written in John 10:11, I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep. I know where you are meant to be and where you are not. Therefore, my beloved, learn to recognize the slightest movements within your soul. Do not dismiss the subtle ripples, the quiet impressions, the gentle promptings that seem to have no clear origin. This is how I lead you in silence. When you begin to honor that guidance, you will realize that you are more protected than you thought, and guided with greater precision than you imagined. Yet, I do not stop there. There is another way I move that you often call coincidence, but I call arrangement. When you meet the right person at the right time, when a sentence reaches your heart at the exact moment you need it, when a door opens that you never anticipated, you may call it luck, but I say as it is written in Psalm 37:23, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Not a single step of yours is random in my sight. You do not see the movements behind the spiritual veil. You do not see the messengers I send ahead of you to prepare your path. Yet, as it is written in Hebrews 1:14, are not all angels ministering spirits, sent to serve those who will inherit salvation? I am working in places you cannot see. When an opportunity appears at the right moment, when a word touches the exact place of your wound, when a person arrives like an answer to something you had not yet spoken, that is not coincidence. That is the imprint of my footsteps passing through your life. Remember the servant of Abraham when he went to find a wife for Isaac. Before he had even finished his prayer, Rebekah appeared at the right place, at the right time, with the exact sign he had asked for. As recorded in Genesis 24, no detail was accidental. Everything had been prepared before he arrived. So it is with you. What you call coincidence is in truth the intersection between my intention and your steps. So, my beloved, be at peace. You are not navigating alone through a chaotic world. You are moving within an orbit established by grace. I guide you through gentle stirrings. I hold you through holy restraint, and I arrange your path through timely encounters. Whether you recognize it or not, my pull is always at work. Believe this. I do not only speak to you, I surround you. I do not only call you, I lead you. And I do not merely wait for you. I actively arrange each step before you. In all of this, you do not need to understand everything. You only need to trust that the pull of my love never weakens, and that you are always within my guidance, step by step, moment by moment, without deviation. My beloved child, begin to open your spiritual eyes to recognize the traces I have placed along your path. For I do not lead you only through great signs, but through the most subtle details. When you are troubled and suddenly encounter a word that speaks directly to your heart, when counsel arrives at the precise moment you need it, when a door opens with unexpected ease, do not dismiss it as coincidence. Pause, be still, and recognize that I am speaking as it is written in Psalm 32:8. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I do not speak only through visions. I speak through the quiet intersections you often overlook. But do not look for me only in open doors. I am just as present in the ones that close. There are times when you grieve an opportunity that slips away and call it failure. Yet I call it protection. Just as a father keeps a child from touching fire, despite its appealing light, I also restrain you from what you cannot yet see the consequences of. As it is written in Psalm 84:11, the Lord withholds no good thing from those who walk uprightly. If something is truly good for you, I will not withhold it, and if I withhold it, it is because it does not belong to you. Remember Paul when he was prevented from entering the place he had intended to go, even though his plan seemed right. That closing was not an ending, but a precise redirection. Afterward, I opened another path that he could not have foreseen on his own. As recorded in Acts 16, so it is with you. There are relationships you believe are destined, yet I know they would wound you. There are paths you consider success, yet I know they would leave your soul dry. I close doors not to take something from you, but to preserve something more valuable you. And deeper still, I have placed within you a signal that nothing external can replace spiritual peace. Not a fleeting excitement, but a quiet assurance deep within that allows you to know without needing explanation. As it is written in Philippians 4:77, the peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds. That peace does not come from circumstances. It flows from my seal within you. When you move in the right direction, your heart opens light, clear and steady. But when you drift, even if everything appears right outwardly, something within you becomes heavy and unsettled. Do not ignore that. You must learn to discern clearly. Excitement is not always a sign from me. Excitement can arise from ambition, from the self, from the desire to prove something, but peace is different. Peace remains steady even when trials come. Peace does not need to prove, it confirms. Like Esther, when she was placed in position at the appointed time to save her people, What unfolded was not only aligned outwardly, but also affirmed inwardly, as reflected in Esther 4. When I place you where you belong, you will know not first by reasoning, but by your spirit. Therefore, when you encounter coincidental intersections, give thanks. When a door closes, trust. When peace settles within you, step forward with courage. I am orchestrating your journey in ways your eyes cannot fully see. No step you take is outside my awareness. No door opens or closes without my hand upon it. You are not walking in uncertainty. You are being led in light, even when that light is gentle. And I want you to go even deeper. For there is a way I guide you that you often overlook. I lead you through memory, not to trap you in the past, but to reveal my footprints throughout your life. The times I rescued you from what you could not escape. The seasons I corrected you in love. The wounds I healed. These are not for nostalgia but for recognition, as it is written in Deuteronomy 8:2. Remember the whole way the Lord your God has led you. That remembering is not merely recollection. It is light I place again within your mind to illuminate the road ahead. When you look back and see how faithful I have been, your faith will no longer depend on what you feel today, but on what I have proven across every season. Those memories become markers, small lamps along your path, reminding you that you have never walked alone. So, my beloved, live with a renewed awareness. I am speaking to you not only through words, but through arrangement, through doors, through peace, and through sanctified memory. As you learn to recognize these traces, you will no longer walk in uncertainty. You will walk with a quiet yet unshakable confidence that every step you take is held within my guiding hand. Be at peace. I do not leave you to find your way alone. I am drawing the path, and you are already within it. My beloved child, when you stand before difficult crossroads, and suddenly a memory flashes within you, a moment when I delivered you from what seemed impossible, do not dismiss it as a random recall of the mind. It is light I am allowing to shine from your past into your present. The one who walks with me does not live only by what he understands today, but stands firm upon what I have revealed before. Like David, when he faced Goliath, he did not focus on the size of his enemy, but remembered the lion and the bear he had already overcome. As recorded in 1 Samuel 17, those memories did not weaken him, they strengthened him. So it is with you. Every time I bring a memory back to life within your soul, I am reminding you that I do not change. As it is written in Hebrews 13:8, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, and today, and forever. What I have done, I am still doing, and I will continue to do. Yet, my beloved, I do not always lead you through clear reminders. There are seasons when I lead you through silence itself. You pray, you wait, yet you do not hear as before. And your heart begins to fear that I have grown distant. But understand this rightly: when I am silent, I am not absent. When I am silent, I am creating the necessary space for you to learn discernment. Just as every sound must cease for you to hear your own heartbeat clearly, I quiet the noise so you may recognize the true rhythm of your soul. And that rhythm is always drawn toward me. As it is written in Psalm 46:10, Be still and know that I am God. Silence is not emptiness. It is the ground where the roots of your faith grow deeper. Those who are called do not mature in the noise of signs and wonders, but in the quiet places where I lead in hidden ways. Remember Eli. He sought me in the wind, in the earthquake, in the fire, yet I was not in those things. I came to him in a gentle whisper, as recorded in 1 Kings 19:12. And it was in that softness that he received direction. So it is with you, when everything around you grows still. Do not be afraid. That is when I am teaching you to listen, not only with your ears, but with your spirit. You have begun to see that I do not primarily lead you through what astonishes you, but through subtle signals that only a discerning heart can perceive. The quiet ripples when I touch your inner being. The holy unease that causes you to pause before a path that is not yours. The coincidences you once called luck. The doors that close to protect you. The deep peace that confirms your steps. The memories I awaken to remind you of my faithfulness. And even the silence I arrange, so that you may learn to distinguish my voice among many others. All these are the language of heaven, not loud but precise. When you learn to recognize these workings, you will no longer walk in uncertainty. You will begin to read my footprints along every stage of your journey. You will understand that every stirring, every stillness, every resurfacing memory carries meaning. As it is written in Psalm 32:8, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. You are not abandoned in a maze of choices. You are being led by unseen lines that never fail. Therefore, my child, do not seek guidance only in what is dramatic. Learn the language of subtlety. Treasure the memories I awaken within you. Receive the silence I appoint. Let peace be your measure. When you walk in this way, you will realize that I have never ceased speaking. I am simply speaking at a deeper level, and now I bring you into something even more profound. A reality that is not merely guidance, but union. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. I call it communion. It is not only that you hear me, nor that you recognize the signs I send, but that the rhythm within you begins to align with my own movement, as it is written in 1 Corinthians 6:17, "He who is joined to the Lord is one spirit with him." This is not a metaphor, it is a spiritual reality. You are not only held in me, you live in me. You do not merely follow me. You move in step with me. When you enter this dimension, you will no longer need to continually ask, "Should I go?" or "Is this your will?" as you once did. not because you know everything, but because you begin to sense in harmony with me, like two instruments tuned to the same frequency. When one resonates, the other responds. Your spirit, when aligned with me, will move according to the rhythm I am carrying. You will know without needing explanation, perceive without needing analysis. This is where I am leading you, not only to be guided, but to be synchronized, not only to walk the right path, but to move within the very current of my intention. And when you live in that communion, you will recognize that everything I have taught you, the gentle stirrings, the holy restraint, the seeming coincidences, the doors, the peace, the memories, and even the silence have all been preparation to bring you here. Be at peace, my beloved. I do not lead you from a distance. I am living within you, drawing you into my own rhythm, a rhythm that never errs, never wanders, and never ceases. My beloved child, grow still even more deeply. For what I am about to imprint upon your heart does not come with noise, but with a quiet clarity, like dawn slowly spreading across the earth. The communion I open before you is not something that overwhelms you, nor something vague that confuses you. It is the moment when your soul begins to move in step with me, without strain. When you enter that flow, you no longer struggle to find direction. You naturally walk within it like Enoch, who walked with God, as written in Genesis 5:24. This is not a momentary act, but a continuous life. Before you enter this communion, I still cover you, but once you step into it, you are not only kept, you are carried by me. Picture yourself as a light bulb, and I am the current. The bulb does not strive to shine. It simply needs to be connected. When the current flows, light appears. So it is with you. The light you carry does not come from your effort, but from my presence at work within you. As it is written in Matthew 5:14, you are the light of the world, yet that light does not originate from you. It comes from me flowing through you. When communion is unobstructed, you do not have to try to shine. You become light. When communion is strong, your words do not need to strive to persuade. They carry weight. When communion is deep, your steps do not force open doors. Doors open because I walk with you. You have already tasted moments when everything feels light, clear, and unconflicted. You may have thought it was simply a passing feeling, but I tell you the truth, that was when you were moving in my rhythm. As it is written in Acts 17:28, in him we live and move and have our being. When you are in that flow, it is not that your circumstances immediately change, but that you are no longer resisting the current. And when you cease resisting, everything begins to move with ease. But you must understand this. Communion does not remain simply because you have experienced it once. It must be cultivated. And I tell you clearly, two things keep that flow unobstructed: a quiet mind and a pure heart. A quiet mind does not mean the absence of thought. It means knowing how to pause when I touch you. When you stop chasing every voice, stop reacting to every disturbance, space begins to open within you. As it is written in Psalm 4:6-10, be still and know that I am God. It is in that stillness that my rhythm becomes clear. Think of a lake. When its surface is disturbed, It cannot reflect the sky clearly. But when it is still, every image becomes sharp. So it is with your soul. When your mind is pulled by anxiety, comparison, and fear, my signal becomes distorted. Not because I have moved away, but because you have shifted your direction. You have not lost the connection. You simply need to realign. And that return does not require complex rituals. It begins with a small inward decision. A gentle turning like the prodigal son, when he came to himself and chose to return. As recorded in Luke 15, the journey back begins within before your steps even move. You must also learn not to let emotions obscure truth. Emotions can rise like a heavy storm, loud, forceful, capable of disorienting you. But I have given you a foundation that does not shift, as it is written in Matthew 24:7-35. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away. My word is the rock. Your emotions are only foam upon the surface. The foam may cover everything for a moment, but it does not have the weight to change the rock beneath. Remember the wise man who built his house upon the rock. When the rain fell, the floods rose, and the winds blew, that house still stood, as written in Matthew 7:24-25. He did not stop the storm. He chose the right foundation. So it is with you. You do not need to control your emotions to remain steady. You need only stand upon the truth I have spoken. When you stand there, what is temporary will pass, and what is firm will hold you. My beloved, communion does not demand that you become something beyond your humanity. It does not require you to be extraordinary. It invites you to be honest, rightly aligned, and firmly grounded. When you are honest, I cleanse. When you turn toward me, I transmit. When you stand upon my word, I make you unshakable. And in all of this, know this with certainty: I do not leave you, not for a single moment. When you are weak, I am there. When you lose direction, I wait for your turning. When you cannot feel me, I am still at work. You never have to sustain this connection on your own. I am the one who holds, the one who leads, and the one who flows within you every moment. My beloved child, let your heart rest first in this: I am not seeking a perfect image from you. I am seeking an open door. I do not demand that you overpower every emotion. I invite you to stand upon unshakable truth. When you choose to stand on what I have spoken, rather than on what you feel, the flow of living water will no longer be obstructed. The light will no longer be hindered, and the communion between you and me will deepen quietly, yet surely. But I want to take you deeper still, for the clarity of that flow does not come only from honesty or alignment, but also from the atmosphere within you. Imagine your heart as a room into which my light is always shining. That light never fades. Yet what determines how clearly you see is the condition of your window. When the window is clear, the light passes through freely. When it is clouded by doubt, jealousy, judgment, or fear, the light still shines, but your vision becomes dim. As it is written in Matthew 5:8, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." You do not see because I come closer. You see because nothing remains to obscure your sight. Therefore, I call you to rise, not in the haste of the flesh, but in the awakened awareness of a soul that has been stirred to life. I am not calling you to run like one in panic. I am inviting you to walk like one who knows he is hearing the voice of his Father. The seasons when your emotions pulled you backward, the days when you circled within the same thoughts, those have been enough. Now it is time for a shift of axis, no longer turning according to feeling, but according to truth. As it is written in Romans 1:17, the righteous shall live by faith. And faith does not stand upon the storms outside, it stands upon my voice within. Leave the ground where fear has made its camp in your mind. You have grown accustomed to it, because you have remained there long. But it is not where I have called you to live. In that place, every strong emotion unsettles you. Every external voice gains the power to define you. But I did not create you to live that way. I created you to live from the center, where I am, as it is written in Luke 20:19. I have given you authority, and that authority begins with the governance of your own soul under my direction. When I say stand, you do not need to run. When I say open, you do not need to withdraw. When I say be still, you do not need to defend yourself. You are no longer one who reacts under pressure. You become one who responds to my call. I am bringing you out of old cycles, the patterns of anxiety, self-doubt, and the need to prove your worth. Those circles have exhausted you, because they kept you moving without advancing. But now I place you in a new identity. Not an identity built on performance, but one established by covenant, as it is written in 2 Corinthians 5:17. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. You are no longer bound to the old image. You no longer turn according to emotion. You turn according to my voice. This transformation is not loud, but it is deep and real. You will begin to notice that when emotions rise like great waves, you are no longer swept away. You stand within the waves without sinking, because your footing is set upon me, as it is written in Psalm 119:105. Your word is a lamp to my feet, and a light to my path. That light not only shows the way, it keeps you from slipping. When anxiety knocks, you do not flee, you remain and listen. When sorrow tries to close your heart, you open because I say open. This is not the denial of emotion, it is the placing of emotion under the authority of truth. I am changing your position. You are no longer like a stone struck by waves, subject to external force and carried by circumstance. You are becoming like a stream directed by me, flowing with purpose along the path I have set. As it is written in John 7:38, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. You are not only enduring the storm, you are carrying life through it. Understand this clearly. I do not only desire to keep you safe, I desire to move through you. I do not only want you to stand firm, I want you to flow. When you keep your heart clear, when you choose the right axis, when you stand upon truth, you will find that your life is no longer governed by what comes from the outside. You will live from within, from the place where I dwell. So, my beloved, be at peace and move forward. Do not return to old cycles. Do not let the noise pull you away from the center. Keep the atmosphere within you clear, still and true. For in that place, I do not merely speak to you. I live within you. I flow through you, and I lead you step by step without error. My beloved child, engrave this deeply into your soul when I call you to rise and walk. I am not calling you into panic, but into grounded conviction. Remember Joshua when he stood before the people, facing a vast and challenging land. I did not tell him to act according to his emotions. I declared to him as written in Joshua 1:9, "Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." That courage did not come from feeling strong enough, but from knowing that I was with him. So it is with you. What I am calling forth from you is not impulsive reaction, but a step anchored in my presence. From this moment, you will begin to perceive a quiet yet profound shift. You are no longer carried away by old reactions. Instead of letting emotions define your direction, you will allow my voice to lead you. Instead of shrinking when fear rises, you will open because you trust. Instead of fleeing from pressure, you will stand firm because you know you are being held. I am repositioning you, placing you back into the orbit of truth. And within that orbit, you are no longer one who is swept along by circumstances, but one who is led from within. My beloved, to act in awareness means that every step you take flows out of listening. You do not need to hurry to prove anything. You walk in order to obey. You do not need to control everything. You only need to remain in step with me. When you live in this way, your life will no longer be lifted and dropped by the highs and lows of emotion. You will become a steady current, carrying the life of heaven in the midst of a restless world. Therefore, rise not to fight in your own strength, but to walk in the identity I have placed within you. Leave the old ground, the place where you reacted by instinct, where you were governed by what happened around you. Step into new ground, the place where you steward your soul under my direction. Let truth lead you instead of emotion pulling you. And as you do this, you will discover that I am not only keeping you from sinking, I am directing you like a powerful current flowing through rock, opening the way and moving toward what I established from the beginning. But my beloved, understand this as well. I have never left the room of your soul. I have always been there. What prevents you from seeing me clearly is not my absence, but the layers that dim the light, the negative thoughts you hold on to, the wounds you have not released, the quiet comparisons. All of these are like dust upon the window of your heart. Spiritual cleansing is not to bring me in. It is to allow you to recognize that I have been there all along, as David prayed in Psalm 139, 23, 24, "Search me, O God, and lead me in the everlasting way." My searching is not to condemn, but to cleanse, so that the light is no longer scattered, and you keep the flow clear, not through grand actions, but through sensitivity to the smallest prompting of the Spirit. I do not begin with what is great. I teach you faithfulness in what is small, a word of forgiveness. You choose to speak while your heart still aches. A step back, instead of arguing to defend your pride, a decision not to enter something you sense. I am not leading, a silence when I prompt you to hold your tongue. As it is written in Luke 16:10, "He who is faithful in very little is faithful also in much." Those small things may seem insignificant to you, but in the spiritual realm, they open wide doors. Remember Naaman, he expected a great miracle. Yet I led him to a simple act, to wash 7 times in the Jordan River. He nearly missed his healing, because he thought the small thing was unworthy. As recorded in 2 Kings 5, so it is with you. Your strength does not lie in the great things you accomplish, but in your sensitivity to hear and obey the small things I speak. When you learn to listen in the small and respond without delay, the communion between you and me is not merely maintained, it is deepened. The flow does not simply continue, it becomes stronger, and you will begin to realize that your life is no longer a series of random reactions, but a journey guided with precision at every step. So, my beloved, be at peace and continue forward. Do not underestimate the small things I place before you. Do not wait for great calls before you believe that I am speaking. I am leading you in every quiet prompting, every unseen choice, every simple step. And as you live in that sensitivity, you will not only walk the right path, you will walk in the right rhythm, at the right time within the purpose I established for you from the beginning.